Hi everyone. So I have a quick word. I was just scrolling through my Bible and I happened to open on Genesis 16 verses 8, 9, 10, 11, 13. Okay, let's just say six, chapter 16 verses 8 to verses 15, right? So it speaks about the birth of Ishmael. Ishmael is basically the child of Hagar, Sarai's servant. So, amongst, okay, God had actually, we know the story. If you don't know the story, it's found in Genesis chapters 15, 16. I don't know where it starts exactly, but I think it starts in chapter 12. No, actually, it starts in chapter 11, verses. What is this verse? 31. No, no, no. We're just going to say it's in chapter 11. But basically, God gives a promise to Abraham, and he tells him that you're going to have many descendants. I'm going to give you a son, and they are very old people, so it's like, okay, Lord, are you sure? But anyway, so they start looking at how old they are and how frail their bodies are, and just looking at the natural, right? And with that being said, year after year after year goes by and God's promises have not taken place. And they come up with this plan. Abraham, whom at the time was called Abram, with his wife Sarai, they come up with a plan, and Sarai is like, hey man, why don't you just sleep with my servant girl? Maybe this promise of God can come through like that. So, okay, after a while, Hagar actually falls pregnant from Abraham, and then Sarai starts. She starts to mistreat the servant girl Hagar. So the servant girl runs away, and then God sends his angel of the Lord to actually meet Hagar where she is. Like, Hagar had no say in the situation. She just was put in the equation because Sarah and Abram were not actually seeing the promise of God come to fruition. Like, the child that God had promised them was not. It looked like it wasn't even going to happen. So okay. Now we're at the place where Hagar is running away, right? And I'm just gonna read from verses 9. So Abram replied, okay, wait. Let's go to verse 4 of chapter 16. So Abram had sexual relations with Hagar, and she became pregnant. But when Hagar knew she was pregnant, she began to treat her. But when Hagar knew she was pregnant, she began to treat her mistress Sarai with contempt. Then Sarai said to Abram, "This is all your fault. I put my servant into your arms, but now that she's pregnant, she treats me with contempt." Oh, so it was Hagar that started treating Sarah with contempt, right? So deal with her as you see fit. Then Sarai treated Hagar so harshly that she finally ran away. So Hagar started to, you know, see herself as important in the equation. Well, I guess she's human, and she was like, yeah, I've got this belly and you don't, and everything of that sort. Like, I'm carrying Abraham's seed, but you're not. She was rubbing it in her face, basically. So Sarai, on the other hand, is like, Abram, this is all your fault. Mind you, Sarai came up with the suggestion. Now it's coming back to bite her in the butt. But anyway, so Sarai treats Hagar harshly. So it means that she became very harsh towards Hagar, right? We're not going to add or take anything from that because it's self-explanatory. So Hagar runs away. The angel of the Lord found Hagar beside a spring of water in the wilderness along the road to Shur. The angel said to Hagar, Sarah's servant, where have you come from and where are you going? And then she's like, I'm running away from my mistress Sarai. She replied. The angel of the Lord said to her, return to your mistress and submit to her authority. Then he added, I will give you more descendants than you can count. And the angel also said, you are now pregnant and you will give birth to a son. You are to name him Ishmael, which means God hears, for the Lord has heard your cry of distress. The son of yours will be a wild man and untamed as a wild donkey. He will raise his fist against everyone, and everyone will be against him. Yes, he will live in open hostility against all his relatives. So really, what really interested me when I was reading this, like this verse, is the fact that after that encounter, thereafter, on verse 13, it says, Hagar used another name to refer to the Lord who had spoken to her. She said, you are the God who sees me, right? She also said, have I truly seen the one who sees me? So, I guess the take on this whole entire story is the fact that Hagar was thrown into the equation. She had no say, like, because she was a servant, right? But in the end, she became prideful as well. And then she ripped, the rewards for that by Sarah treating her more harshly. But in the end, like, she didn't have a say. Like, she was just thrown into this whole brilliant idea that Sarah came with, and then she ended up being pregnant. And she felt like, I'm sure, when I'm imagining, like, in her shoes, she must have felt some type of way. Like, she felt, you know, like no one was actually seeing her. Like, nobody understood the turmoil that she was going through. Like, to run away from her mistress, I'm sure they had like a sort of like an understanding kind of relationship, like, even though she was a servant, but I'm sure they had some girl talks and everything of that sort, and and they had some sort of relationship. But now in the end, this whole you know idea, it made them enemies, right? And in the end, when she runs away, she's pregnant now, she doesn't have anyone. She meets with the Lord, and she finally is in a state of being seen. Like, she says, you are the God who sees me. Have I truly seen the one who sees me? So this is to say that often at times we're thrown in the deep end, and we feel like nobody sees us and nobody actually understands what we're going through. But for her to actually says that you are the God who sees me, that encounter left her with a sense of being acknowledged. Like, isn't that what we all want? Like, to be acknowledged, like to be seen in whatever we're going through. So God actually gave her that. Like, he gave her that acknowledgement. Like, he gave her that, hey, I see you in this situation. Like, you are going through all of this and nobody is on your side. You don't even know where you're running to, because it sounds like she was alone. Like, it sounds like she was carrying this baby and she had nobody else. She was just, in this situation, and Sarah and Abram were only thinking about what they were to benefit from her, right? But that's our God. Like, he's a God who sees us. He's a God who acknowledges us in situations sometimes when we didn't even ask for those situations, but it just happens. Sometimes it is because of our own doing, but at the end, he is a God who sees us. Isn't that amazing? Like, but yeah, I really find that encouraging. And for anyone who's going through a hard time, because life be lifing, but he is a God who sees us. So I love you all, and I'll see you on the next Spirit led video. Bye.